I am retiring now. Kind of with everything kind of going on, it seeming like this second Gunther match is gonna be maybe Styles' last match. I kind of wanted to take a look at whether or not that's really gonna be the case. I personally actually think that everyone's being swerved. I don't think AJ is going to go away just yet. I think the Nakamura AJ Styles match that we just had actually at Saturday night's main event, while great and awesome, right, I think is being done on purpose to mislead us into thinking that AJ will be done at the Royal Rumble. We all, I mean, anyone privy to the knowledge knows that AJ has said that 2026 would be his last year kind of in the ring as an in-ring competitor, and kind of, I think, taking it into the storyline kind of that Gunther kind of has right now, being the career killer, which they are now dubbing him even on commentary, I think is one of the best moves, and I think, if possible, I would love to see it kind of extend even further somehow, if they were even maybe able to get another match out of this, if possible, just because I think the drama kind of surrounding whether or not AJ Styles is done has, kind of whipped up everything into a frenzy. I mean, like this past Raw, you had a CM Punk throw down another world title match, which excellent, by the way, back-to-back Finn Balor, now AJ, both matches that CM Punk, I don't think I think he's wrestled AJ back in like ROH, but I don't think he's wrestled this iteration, ever since he's went through Japan, everything, until now with WWE, and then this version of Punk. It's awesome to see, despite the Finn interference. Just in general, it does feel like with doing that, they're putting more pressure on the Gunther Styles match to be that significant ending for AJ. I still don't think that's going to be the case. I think that actually with kind of the matches they're throwing out now, kind of similar to John Cena's retirement towards the end, I think this is actually being done to kind of gauge the interest in a Styles-centric program going into 2026. And I think so far, kind of off the heels of Gunther's kind of, heel stuff with, retiring Cena in the way he did, it is the perfect launching pad to kind of have maybe Styles and Gunther kind of feud almost towards maybe Mania, and then have maybe AJ retire at Mania with the world title match maybe against Gunther. I think that would be kind of interesting thing to do, because I do think AJ is one of those guys who he's retiring at the top of his game. He's not retiring and going on the way out because he can't keep up. He's stopping at the point he knows where this is where my peak kind of ends. He doesn't want to degrade himself, which is extremely commendable, similar to like kind of Cena's position, putting out some of the best performances, because of course he can. He's retiring because he knows that moving forward he won't be able to put those performances out all the time. I do think AJ, I do think AJ is going to be winning here at the Rumble. I think it is poetic to have, for his 10-year anniversary kind of with the company at the Royal Rumble, which he debuted, to have his final match. I do understand that significance, and I think it is really awesome, but I do think you can actually kind of squeeze a bit more drama out of this if we kind of have more shenanigans moving forward that kind of push maybe Gunther to press AJ for another match, or maybe vice versa with whatever kind of happens. If it is the case that this is AJ's kind of final stuff, I did dig that they did allow AJ and Shinsuke to kind of have some closure in general too, since Shinsuke wasn't able to kind of be present for Tanahashi's retirement. It did feel awesome that in subtle moves and like dragon screws and Bling Blades, that we got that acknowledgement of the closure of the 2010s New Japan chapter, kind of with AJ and Shinsuke kind of going or teeing off, the other contemporaries to Tanahashi, Naito, Omega, etc. Kind of go off, and it was cool for Michael Cole to also kind of bring up that history for both Shinsuke and AJ, as Shinsuke started Chaos and AJ became a leader of Bullet Club probably one of the most prominent leaders that put it onto the path of what went down, eventually down the road. That was really fun to see. And obviously the match was a true sequel to the Wrestle Kingdom 10 match, which they do reference on commentary as well, which is excellent. And they do reference, obviously, the WrestleMania bouts WrestleMania bout that they had where Shinsuke turned heel in a subpar match. But I'm glad that this match was kind of built on the legacy of their New Japan rivalry, with all the motifs and callbacks to that, and the spots and counter spots to everything that was happening. This was a straight stiff, this was a sequel to their Wrestle Kingdom 10 match, in my opinion, just as excellent and just as poetic in a way, because their match before, they were both on the way out to bigger pastures in a new place, and they were closing the chapters on their journey in New Japan over there, where now it's kind of that same thing for WWE on the side of, AJ leaving and Shinsuke getting down in his sunset years. This is most likely the last time they would ever be able to contemporarily face, right? So seeing that, and then them being able to kind of put out, a true Strong style performance in the spirit of both who they are as wrestlers, and what gelled them together in the first place, super, super awesome. Besides that sidebar, you know what I mean? I do think, it being AJ Styles, I would love to see a proper finish to that CM Punk match. And I do think that, you can kind of toss that world title kind of around for kind of quick kind of world championship pops, and I think AJ Styles kind of does deserve one, being someone who, I don't remember the last time he had a single title in the last maybe 3 or 4 years, you know what I mean? So, I think throw him a bone and maybe have him have another shot at Punk or whoever might be on the end of that WrestleMania train. It would be sick, I think, if AJ did actually retire more at Mania, and maybe Gunther wins the world title off of him at Mania, maybe through a Royal Rumble win or Elimination Chamber entry for Gunther, just because I do think that the drama that's happening here between him and Styles for the Rumble, right, is excellent, but I just don't think AJ should end his career in Saudi Arabia. He does deserve to be maybe in Atlanta, or in Georgia, or, somewhere where I think there'd be more significance even at the place that they are at. So, hopefully that becomes the case. But in general, I don't think it is over for AJ Styles. But beyond that, I do want to say thank you to him for being someone who essentially was big part of my formative indie watching years. For someone who, he was one of the biggest gateways for me to non-WWE and the bigger world of wrestling. His stuff in TNA when I was watching kind of in the mid-2000s, 2010s for TNA, when he was feuding with Samoa Joe, when Angle went over there, and all that type of stuff. It was super fun watching him in the X Division and stuff like that. And the Evil Ways kind of turn that eventually happened once he got kind of in that main event scene and stuff like that. That was super dope. And then for him to do that and then run New Japan and literally clean house was insane, because in my opinion at the time too, it felt like that top of the card in New Japan, because it was something that was kind of newish too. So I only kind of knew that Okada, Tanahashi, and these top guys were really the only real ones sniffing that title, So to see AJ kind of come in as a gaijin and win it twice was kind of insane. At the level he did it, the match he had with Okada, the Bullet Club dynamics that eventually started to break Kenny and Kota, and fracture down that storyline, which eventually was amazing. I gotta give AJ a lot of personal thanks for keeping my interest in wrestling alive, especially in that 2010s. I felt as one of the best. He to me, everyone says Shawn Michaels. Shawn Michaels, I think, had maybe more of the promo and everything down, but AJ Styles to me is the better wrestler than Shawn Michaels. AJ Styles can genuinely have a match with anyone and anything. And I also think while Shawn Michaels is an excellent, and he will always give, he has given, AJ Styles to me has always given, if that makes sense. In the earliest parts of his career to the end, he's given. Whereas I feel there were points in time for Shawn where it's kind of there was some stagnation in a lot of areas, and that's not obviously his fault himself. He's still great, but I just personally think AJ Styles' consistency as in his excellence. I think Sean is a better. Sean is a really good storyteller in terms of like the timing and waiting for things, but I do think AJ is better at showing exasperation and it feeling like a legitimate fight when he's in there and using his mix of strikes and stuff. Whereas Sean, I think Taker made it sound best. Like, he does bring the drama to a fight where you then root for somebody, or like you know what I mean? Like, he's able to paint that picture. Whereas AJ is really good at making the struggle and fight and wrestling feel and seem real. I love AJ for that, and whether or not he is retiring this upcoming Saturday in Saudi, I wish the best for him. And I do hope it kind of that similar to how they kind of focused on Cena for 25, let's give some focus on AJ for 26 and really acknowledge the greater world of wrestling that even inspired your competition, right? You know, I think that'd be kind of cool. But those are kind of my thoughts on whether or not, you know, AJ is going to retire and what they can do with it. Let me know what you guys kind of think of the whole situation, and if he should retire on, on Saturday at Saudi, at the Royal Rumble or not. And also, who you all think is going to win the Rumble? Let me know.